Hi, I'm Evan Moody.
I'm Andy Gruthius.
And you're listening to Nothing Worthwhile
with Moody and Groo.
And on today's show, it's Season 1 of The Tulsa King.
Nothing Worthwhile, the recognized symbol of excellence in crappy podcasting.
Well, it's Game 5 of the World Series here at the new Busch Stadium in downtown St. Louis, and it looks like it's just about time to sing the national anthem.
That's right, Joe. And singing tonight is Pamela Bell, winner of local grocery store Schnucks Anthem Idol contest.
I hear the girl can sing.
Well, let's go to the field.
Ladies and gentlemen, here tonight to honor our country by singing the national anthem, please welcome Pamela Bell.
The what? Sopara. That's right. Let's blaming the whose broad stripes and right roars. Oh, the railroads we watched. And the rockets, red glare, the bombs bursting up in the air. Give a little through the bum night. And I've for it's one, two, need to get out. And B to the R to the A to the V to the E. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll be right back with Game 5 here in St. Louis.
So this is your first time on television, your TV debut?
Yeah. You know, you almost have no choice.
Wait a minute. Why say yeah?
Because you almost have no choice. My affections are the movie theater.
Right. Well, let me tell you
But
something.
it's
TV's
changing.
where it's at. Just
That's
so you
what
know.
my point. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
What's happened is the film business, as I knew it and grew up in it, is gone.
Right.
And now it's big, mega tentpole movies like Marvel. And if you want to do a little, like a Rocky film, would never be released. It would have been streamed.
How sad. Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
so, but it is now, I think, become the format for independent filmmakers
Well, it has,
to get
yeah.
their stuff done.
Would you do a Rocky formatted streaming series?
You mean like a prequel?
Yeah.
Prequel.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would work out. You know, the hardest thing is...
It would be great.
But I don't know who plays Rocky. It's a hard
Well,
thing.
let's sit down and talk about it, Sly.
I've got ideas.
I mean, are you available?
Well, look, I could put some
He's
time in
always
at the gym.
available.
I'm always available
He's
for
always
you,
available.
my friend.
And he's been taking
You go down
boxing
like crazy.
classes.
Do whatever you want.
I need to see your books.
Are you from the government?
I just knocked your guard out, and you think I'm a CPA?
Was it primarily the writing that struck you about this? Because you must look at scripts and go, you know, with your perspective from the things that you've written, you know it works and you know it doesn't work.
The writing was fair. But what was excellent was the concept. That's what is hard to come by. I'm going to own this city. So you can write, rewrite, get help. But to actually say, I'm going to take this character, a gangster, who has been humiliated and betrayed after doing 25 years keeping his mouth shut, instead of being rewarded, he's banned. I said, this is great. Everyone can empathize with this.
I want you to go to Tulsa.
You serious? So now he goes to Tulsa and he realizes I'm 76 years old. I have no wife, no friends, no family, no nothing. How do I own this?
Yeah.
How do I make them my family? And that's the quest.
What's an ex-mafia capo doing in Tulsa?
When I figured that out, you'll be the second one to know. In the original treatment, that wasn't in there. He was just a guy going out there just beating people up. And I'm thinking, that wouldn't last long. You go out west, and you start messing around in their territory. A couple of these boys are going to pick you up in the middle of the night, and they're going to bury you face first in the desert, like in Casino.
You only exist out here because of me.
And that's when I thought, let's add this and let's add that. Capiche? So it started to become this black comedy. Because life to me is a horrible comedy at times.
You in town?
Is it that obvious? I kept my mouth shut for 25 years.
I don't know what you're expecting now that you're back.
I'm expecting adequate compensation.
Tulsa.
What's Tulsa?
I want you to go there. The horse race, the springboard mile. There's nobody doing nothing. You can do whatever you want.
Not exactly the welcome I was expecting.
Name's Tyson. Welcome to Tulsa.
$2,000 a week. You drive for me now. What crew runs this neighborhood?
No crew up in here. We're in the middle of nowhere.
What'll it be?
I assume you don't have Keontae.
You assume correctly.
I wouldn't have pegged you as the Boy Scout.
Why not? This wasn't necessary. What is that place?
It's a dispensary.
Oh my God, is he dead?
No, he's taking a break. This is how it's going to work. I'll protect you from the gangs.
What gangs?
And the law.
This is legal.
You got to know your risk.
There was no risk until you came along.
Ever heard of Black McAdam? It's a motorcycle gang.
You're overplaying your hand. When I play my hand, you won't see it coming.
Any flammable liquids or firearms?
In the box? Nah.
This situation is not going to be controllable for much longer.
You got a pretty good appetite for someone who was just shot at.
If I stopped eating every time somebody tried to hurt me, I'd be a skeleton. I want to be upfront with you. It could get ugly.
This me, we're in the mafia?
Nah, there's no such a thing.
This a one-off or one of many?
Too soon to tell.
Go.
Ah, yeah. I just got the countdown from my producer. Welcome to Nothing Worthwhile, episode 102 on today's show. The week that was, we are on the road to Wrestlemania as we react to the Elimination screen, and of course, the great Sylvester Stallone's first foray into television. It's season 1 of the Tulsa King. Let's bring him in, our resident Nothing Worthwhile-ologist, Andrew Gruthius, beautiful AG icon that I am looking at on my screen. Groo, a special Sunday evening taping of Nothing Worthwhile. How are you, my friend?
Maybe that's the problem. Maybe whenever we screw with the schedule, we have some kind of technical difficulty. Yeah, you can't see me.
That's right.
Or you think you know me. Oh, I don't know. Is that Edge or Cena? I don't know what the fuck.
That would be Edge.
Edge. Yeah. But, doing all right. Yeah, late Sunday. Long, not a 4-day weekend, but a 4-day adventure to Orlando for a field trip.
Okay. How was the great city of Orlando?
It was. I didn't see much of it because we were in a hotel the entire time. It was a convention for business students. So it was pretty cool. It was a lot of good stuff. Great to see a lot of kids working so hard. And Orlando's like the center of the universe, man. I mean, like everything just comes through Orlando for some reason. It was a productive few days. And
Excellent.
Now got back this afternoon and just chilling here and looking forward to talking all things TK, Tulsa King.
Oh, yes, very, very insider.
Yeah.
Very, very insider.
Damn right.
All right, well, I am...
How are you doing out there?
Let's see, how am I doing? Doing pretty good. Friday night is, my Friday nights are always the same. It's like laundry, and then I stay up and watch SmackDown and fall asleep at the last match, like the height of the show. I've hung in there for almost 2 hours, and then I'm like, oh my God, it's Sammy's... out. I gotta try to figure out when to fit it in. Saturday night, it was Marie's mom's 70th birthday, so we took her out. We went to Mesa, east side of town. Beautiful Korean food. Got a gaggle of Korean food with Marie's youngest sister and nephew, and then today. Met up with my brother and Marie's youngest daughter and husband, and we went and saw Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania.
Ooh, how was that?
You really want me?
Or is that what am I watching this week?
No.
I mean, I'm not that interested in it, but I'm curious to know what you thought of it.
Well, here's the thing. Andrew knows I have a unique situation with my brother. The movies is one thing that we both can do, for lack of a better word, and so would I have seen Ant-Man on my own? Maybe, but most likely not. I would have waited till it went on streaming. Popcorn movie, passable. As a movie in its entirety, 2 2.25. The plot all over the place, full of holes. Paul Rudd is a highlight, and Jonathan Majors as Kang is a big time highlight. Definitely a baddie that is starting to go on the Thanos level, but you don't see him till 3/4 of the movie. And the movie does pick up a little momentum when they finally do the big reveal, but there's so many plot holes and a lot of woke stuff that doesn't jive with me. But overall, just a lot of plot holes, and so for me, thinking about what was it, the Doctor Strange, this one, they were not horrific, but they were misses. And so I'm waiting for the MCU to finally give me that movie that's, they had the preview for Guardians, James Gunn. I'll probably see it because I'm hopeful. I really like James Gunn, and I like the Guardians franchise, so I'm really hopeful that they score big with that one. But Ant-Man and Quantumania, I mean, you could do worse to kill 2 hours, but no, I can't give it a maybe very tepid if you want to kill 2 hours and watch a lot of cool effects. Other than that, no, not great.
Yeah, well, I saw a movie too, but before I get to that, the thing about Marvel to me right now, and let me know if you agree with this, they're trying to really have all these offshoots and these things without there being kind of like a center of gravity, which is what I think Robert Downey Jr. was with Iron Man. It all started there, and he was always kind of the moral center, and he was the one who was showing up in other people's things for the most part. And now that he's gone, it's kind of like Wolverine with the X-Men franchise. It really doesn't work without him. He's the moral center. He's the one who brought us into this whole thing. And they need a new center, and they really don't have one. They're trying to, just make a whole bunch of money off of these kind of one-offs, or at least continuations that aren't really leading anywhere because, or I guess they say this Kang Dynasty thing, but nobody's interested in that because before it wasn't about the Thanos Dynasty. It was about the Avengers. And we discovered Thanos along the way. Here they're doing it backwards. And that's what I think is, and that's why it's lost my interest. Does that make any sense?
It does make sense. I don't know. It's not something I necessarily agree with. It does make a lot of sense to me. Again, I think it's for a couple of reasons. I think it's, I'm going to just tell you what I think. Number one, I think that this multiverse, it's not a linear concept. It's not, at the end of the day, similar to wrestling, it's about good guy versus bad guy. At the moment, here we're jumping across universes. We got variants. We've got multiple timelines. It can be very, very confusing. And I think also clearly they're moving from this round of initial Avengers, that really sort of great bedrock cast of Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and they're moving into this next round. And I'm sorry, a lot of these guys are being de-emphasized, and they're bringing in other characters, a lot of female heroes. Nothing wrong with it, but it's just there's no backstory. One of the things with Ant-Man and Quantumania, Kang was banished to the quantum realm. They just say it, and there's no frame of reference as to why. There was nothing in any earlier movie. It's just very hard for me to conceptualize.
Yeah, but you realize they're not going to give that away because they could make a whole movie about that, about how Kang got,
I guess, but
that's their thing. That's their business model, I think.
It started with some of the television shows I lost interest in pretty quickly. She-Hulk was an absolute unmitigated disaster.
Yeah, you've said that.
For me as a viewer. And so, you definitely have, I think, a good point. I think it's more just this next go-around, the concept of the villain and the concept of how they're basing it around this whole shared universe. It's a flimsier one than just massive bad guy versus group of good guys, and I think it's really as simple as that, plus some other factors that writing and things of that nature. So I don't know.
All right. Well, I want to talk about something briefly.
Go ahead.
That this might be good for our 200th episode, confession show, but I'm doing it now. So I'm going to say this, and I'm going to tell you that if you ever call me a hypocrite, and I deny it, you can play this tape back that I'm about to say. All right, and so
this is a movie.
Yeah. Well, you should know at this point what I'm about to say. So of course I saw Creed 3. Now, to be fair, I did not pay for Creed 3.
Oh, come on!
I am that petty. I am that petty.
You are petty.
I am
absolutely petty.
I'm admitting
because
I
have it.
Here's
my notes.
Yeah.
Here's my notes about Creed 3. Go ahead. The floor is yours because I have a lot to say about this.
You saw it?
Go ahead. I didn't see it, but I saw everything that all you cranky MFers put on Last of the Action Hero, and I kept my mouth shut.
Really? I thought I was the only one. Everybody else was kind of like open to it.
No, and I even got into it in a fun way with Seagal. He was messaging me, and go ahead. I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
Okay, so that wasn't the plan. We were going as a
Just get to the movie.
Well, all right. I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it. I didn't dislike it that much, but I do have some complaints. I really do think what I predicted that you saw, I do think they really literally lifted the plot of Rocky 3 down to like almost parallel story beats and different things that happen. I won't spoil anything. And
you just did, so I mean.
No, I really didn't. You'll know it when you see it, and you should see it. As a Stallone fan and a Rocky fan, yeah. And I think you'll like it because it's not a bad movie. There's a lot of baggage, and there's a lot of choices that they made that I kind of wish they wouldn't have, out of respect for what the franchise is. Now, to be fair, the franchise is trying to break out on its own and get out of the Rocky shadow, which is perfectly what it should be doing. If you're going to do that, don't repeat the formulas or like the exact formulas that you have done in the past. So that's my big criticism of that. And one of them is so blatant that it really kind of pissed me off. I'll say that Michael B. Jordan is an adequate director. It's adequate. It's nothing special. You'll see what I mean. You'll see that it's nothing special. I think you'll like it. You'll be like, it was good. Liked it. It's okay. You're
91% critic score on.
I know you, and I know how you see movies. You're very intelligent, and you see through a lot of nonsense. And
that's fine, but here's the problem I have with what you're saying already.
Okay.
You guys, everyone universally loved Creed 2, which was probably and I was on record saying, liked it, competent movie, nowhere near the first one because they lifted an existing plot line from a Rocky movie and just retrofitted it. And everybody, for the most part, I don't remember anyone having any complaints, especially you, but here they take a lift from Rocky 3. To me, it sounds very personal. It's a bunch of guys that have an emotionality attached to a franchise, and nobody. To me, my biggest thing would be nobody can take a step back and look at something objectively. It's not Michael B. Jordan's fault that Sylvester Stallone doesn't have the rights to Rocky. It's show business, not show friendship. And you always talk about being a working actor and a working director. And so the guy, was given this opportunity. And to what I read, it was like, my God, blasphemy that they decided to go ahead and make a Creed 3 movie without Sylvester Stallone. And my thing is, why can't I be a Rocky fan and a Sylvester Stallone fan and not look forward to Creed 3 without Sylvester Stallone?
You absolutely can. The argument that I was making, I can't speak for anybody else, the argument that I was making was that it's not that he's not in it. It's that they kind of froze him out of any creative input, of any creative thing, and they kind of just like, they said, Rocky does not belong to you. You might have... It's basically, like I said, what Disney did to George Lucas. Problem is, they also paid Disney George Lucas $4 billion to get out of the way. They did no such thing with Stallone, and they legally didn't have to. So that was the gripe. The gripe was, from me,
but did you not say on the Creed 2 podcast that Rocky should be put to bed after this movie. You
Yes.
specifically
Yes.
said,
And I
don't want to see
he
Rocky anymore.
correct.
Anymore.
Yeah,
This was the perfect way to.
absolutely did. And
Okay.
the movie had the movie Rocky fits nowhere into the plot in this movie. Like he wouldn't fit into it. And if he was in it, it wouldn't make it better, and it wouldn't make it worse. It would make it the same. And I could say the same thing for a couple other characters that are in it that I'll say for after you see it. But my point has always been not about the quality of the movie. That being said, there's no way I could tell you I went in as an objective viewer. I certainly did not.
Oh, well, that's fair.
And
Well,
even the opening logo, the opening company logo, it says CW, and it's got a picture of the Rocky Steps. CW stands for Charles Winkler. That's Irwin Winkler's son. The Irwin Winkler is the producer who kind of screwed, quote unquote, Stallone out of the whole thing to pass it on to his own son, and it's almost felt like just a slap in Sylvester Stallone's face. It really did. You'll see what I mean when you see it.
And so my thing is, so what?
Yeah, I mean,
so it's
okay.
You and I know that in the world of entertainment, it's littered with bad business deals.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yes.
not saying that there's not an argument to be made that Sylvester Stallone should not have the rights to Rocky. It was his character. It was his blood, sweat, and tears. But my God, the guy's seems to have a pretty good life and has been pretty well compensated. And so, for him to go on there and Twitter and call the Winkler a bloodsucker, blah, 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 that's fine. And there may be real valid points to that. But I'm just reading. Everybody's just shitting on Michael B. Jordan, shitting on Creed 3. And it would be one thing if it got terrible reviews. I mean, Ant-Man got 49% tomato meter. I'm looking at my notes because I knew we were going to talk about Creed 3, 91% critic. Now, I'm not saying that's the god-all and end-all of the movie, but the movie, at worst, I've read a middling review. Everything has been solid to very praiseworthy of the movie. Again, I'm not saying that's the end-all and be-all, but it's like people are just like, oh my God, I won't even give this movie a chance because it's.
Well, audience.
Sylvester
That's what
Stallone.
audience. Come on, that's what audiences are these days. And like I said, call me a hypocrite. You have absolutely every right to. They did the same thing with Ghostbusters. They hold these franchises. Like it's part of my childhood. And I get that to a point. And it's like they're very protective of it, especially like Star Wars and Star Trek and things like that. So they get all pissed off when the creators of it or the people who own the property of it do with it something that they wouldn't have wanted them to do. So it happened. Okay. This is not the first time nor the last time it'll happen. And
fair enough.
But
that's a good point.
But as a movie, it's certainly not a bad movie. But as somebody who from day one can quote every single moment of every single one of these movies, I would have been just as critical of Sylvester Stallone if he made the same choices in this movie. No. You don't think so?
No.
I felt when I walked out of there.
If you really wanted me to be honest, how do I say that? All right, I'm gonna be honest. If I said, was there? Because Andy, as a collaborator and as a commentator, is the shits. I mean, he's the best. Him and I have sat there on a couch till 3, 4 in the morning debating probably the most mundane entertainment stuff that we love. But he has an emotionality attached to certain things where I think I could take a step back. I'm just saying, where I think I could take a step back and go, all right, I'm not saying objective. I'm not saying a better review or a worse review. I just think that's how we're a little bit different because, I could sit here and say, well, before we get to Tulsa King, I could tell you exactly what I think of what Andy's going to say about Tulsa King, just like I could tell you what Andy's probably going to say about season 6 of Cobra Kai because he loves it. He dives in full, both arms and legs. And, and I don't know. I mean, if Stallone was in Creed 3, do I think people would be lighting up on it, perhaps? Yeah, especially in light of your comments.
Well, here's
I didn't think about like Star Wars and that kind of thing. Which there's definitely a truth to what you
yeah.
what
Well,
you're saying.
coming off from what you said about how what was it you were saying before? It was 3 minutes ago. You were talking about how the you said how Creed 2 lifted the plot of Rocky 4.
Hell, yeah.
All right, here's the difference to me. Okay? No,
Okay.
I'm just telling you how I look at it. Okay?
Go ahead, brother.
In Creed 2, to me, they definitely leaned on it, but they continued the story. They didn't just recycle the plot. They continued it. Where was it going to go? And it went in different directions than I thought it would. That's why I liked the movie, and I liked it better than the first one. You didn't. I know we disagree on that. Here, in this one, they take the same plot points and apply it to different characters. To me, that's the difference. But I am very interested to hear what you think. I'm going to say that I didn't like it personally, but I didn't really dislike it, and it's not a bad movie. Well made. I will give it that. Well made, looks great, good performances all around, but there are things about it that keep it from... It's almost like they're so afraid of breaking out of Rocky's shadow that they can't break out of Rocky's shadow. It's like they're their own worst enemy. You know what? I don't want to talk about it anymore. I want you to see it first, and then I want to continue.
All right. I'm mildly surprised at some of your lukewarm comments on it.
Or Luke Cold.
No, listen. Let me just my final thought on the Creed 2 thing. Absolute lift. Called it lazy on our podcast. However, it was competently done, and yes, it wasn't just a lift. Yes, they did expand, obviously, mostly on the Drago mythos with the son, and like most viewers, most people found that much more satisfying than the actual, boxing and things of that nature. And I was one as well. Lazy, but Creed 2 was a competent movie. I thought the first Creed, I walked out jacked. I thought it was a revelation. Great. I thought it was Stallone's best acting performance up until that point. And I fell for the whole Creed and the Tessa Thompson romance. Just really, really bought into it. But we'll wait. I'll see it, and we'll come back and verbally joust on.
All right,
on
definitely
Creed 3.
look forward to that.
All right. Well, good. I mean, listen. I got to give Andy credit. He was fair, and he gave his points. All right, Andrew. Well, I guess we're Stallone heavy on today's podcast. But before we discuss season 1 of the Tulsa King, can we please react to Nothing Worthwhile? The week that was.
New Life Center presents Nothing Worthwhile. The week that was.
Evan, who was the week that was brought to us by?
Thank you. Wow, this is like Imus and what was it, Charles McCord?
Yeah.
Whack, 8:28 p.m. Arizona time. The week that was is brought to you by New Life Center. We'll be podcasting there soon.
Yes,
Maintain the skin you love. Say goodbye to those skin issues with the help of their state-of-the-art laser treatments, whether that's Physique, Skinway, Virtue, RF, microneedling, Textra, Luxia, IPL, Intense Pulse Light. Check out all of their state-of-the-art laser treatments at www.newlifecenters.com or give them a call at 602-274-0068. Tell them that Moody and Groo sent you and receive a big 15% off your first service. Thank you to New Life Center. Groo, you're a New York Mets guy. Is that correct?
I am, or I was. If you ask me who I root for...
There's always layers.
Yeah, there's always a thing. Well, if you asked me to name 5 players on the Mets right now, I couldn't. But if you're asking me who I root for in baseball, the answer is the New York Mets, yes.
All right, let me give you your thoughts.
Okay.
Now, we are probably a week and a half old on this, the week that was. We pushed it back a little bit. But, Groo, Phil Regan, the former pitching coach of the Mets, has filed a lawsuit against the organization alleging age discrimination.
Nice.
Reagan, a former player turned coach, served as the interim pitching coach for the Mets beginning in June 2019 following Dave Island's firing. Reagan, who was 82 at the time, claims in the suit that the team's former general manager, Brody Van Wagenen, said he would not return because he was, quote, too old. In a statement to TMZ, Reagan's attorney, Matthew Blitt, elaborated on his client's decision to take action. Quote, Phil is the first guy to crack jokes about his age. However, there is nothing funny about a person being told that they are being passed over because their employer wants someone younger. That's discrimination, plain and simple. In September 2019, about 3 months into Reagan's tenure, Mets pitchers had a 3.52 ERA in the second half of the season. The team's starting pitchers had a 3.06 ERA. That's pretty solid numbers to me. Mickey Callaway was the Mets manager that season, and he was fired after his team went 86 wins, 76 losses. The Mets hired Jeremy Hefner, then 33, in November of 2019. Hefner, a former pitcher for the Mets, began his coaching career with the Twins. Reagan, now 85, is said to be suing for unspecified damages. The Mets have not yet commented on the matter. Because he had became the interim pitching coach, or before, Reagan was the assistant minor league pitching coordinator for the Mets. He was also the pitching coach for the single-A Port St. Lucie Mets from 2009 to 2015. Groo, was Phil sacked for being too old?
Yes, and what's wrong with that? You're talking about a professional baseball organization that doesn't sign people for seasonal contracts, and obviously, if you need somebody, he was going to be a pitching coach or whatever.
Yeah, when you said like seasonal, was he working like a cabana boy at the?
It's like no. I meant like they sign these people to multi-year contracts.
Right.
Even coaches, I think. Yes, there are some organizations or some businesses where, yes, there are situations where if the organization wants to go younger, that come on, that's silly. Unfortunately, baseball has an expiration date as far as effect. What's that word? Efficacy. Efficacy. That's a word they always.
A lot of layers. Yeah. A lot of layers.
So I think it's a crummy lawsuit. We're all going to get old. And on the other hand, if we have a president of the United States who can be over 82 years old, then I don't see why we can't have a Mets pitching coach be over 82 years old. But that's just me.
Well, I'll tell you that. Well, listen, if that's the case, at a 3.06 ERA, I think Phil Regan's got a lot more efficacy than Joe Biden. Quite honestly, if that's the case, I'm going to go vote for Phil Regan in 2024.
You know what? If he can prove that he's still effective at his job, then he'll probably get some damages, and the Mets will settle out of court.
If I'm looking at his numbers, 3.06 ERA second half of the season, relievers 3.52, which is not great, but not horrifically bad for relievers. I mean, the thing is this, listening to your comments, I kind of don't have a problem with it either. I mean, why teams get rid of players all the time? Because they want to go younger, they want to reboot, their
and maybe
roster.
And is it possible that even though he might have a good ERA with his staff, that maybe the players don't like him, or maybe he's just not connecting with the players? Sometimes you need youth to connect with the youth. These players are like 19, 20 years old. All right, and they don't listen to anybody anymore except their own personal coaches. So you're going to bring in an old school 82-year-old whose name is not Sparky Anderson or whatever, and they're going to listen to him? I don't think so. Kids are punks.
This podcast is quickly devolving into two angry old guys. Yeah. Well, speaking of something that did not work out, Groo, we know that it did not work out for The Rock and the WWE in terms of WrestleMania. But what is the current state of their relationship Courtesy of NoDQ.com, as previously noted, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson reportedly turned down a match offer at for WWE WrestleMania 39 while speaking to Louis Dangor of GiveMeSport.com. The Twitter account at WrestleVotes recently broke the story of that they are making new WrestleMania movie parodies. So, we know that's because they're in L.A.
Yeah.
And they commented on The Rock's relationship with the WWE. Quote, "Is there animosity towards The Rock? I would imagine not. Like with Stone Cold Steve Austin, that door is always open. Maybe he said, let's do it next year. When those guys say yes, WWE is going to say okay. Quote, I don't know how official the match ever was. There were obviously talks, but I don't believe at any point in Triple H's tenure that the match was set in stone. How do you plan for something that you don't think is going to happen? The internet thought it was going to happen, but it was never really alluded to on TV. They were never sold on the match as it was going to happen." Groo, I thought I'd add this in here. It might be a bit of a nothing burger here, but it sounds like The Rock and the WWE are still on solid ground.
I'm sure they are. There's no reason for them not to be. I personally think that The Rock was kind of unprofessional in if what I hear to be true is actually true, and that he really put off giving a final answer for a long time. Him growing up around the business and being in the business himself, knowing how important it is to be able to plan ahead. I thought that was kind of uncool for him to wait till such a late date to say, I can't get into ring shape. At the same time, Triple H, who's running things over there, is playing it exactly as he should. Because the door always should be open to the biggest star in the world. He really is right now. Even though his star might have taken a hit over the last year or so, he's still the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who everything he touches turns to at least something. So that door always will and should be open. At the same time, they don't need him. I'm excited for this WrestleMania. They're loaded. I would much rather Roman Reigns be doing what he's doing rather than messing with The Rock right now. It's almost like it was serendipitous, like that The Rock couldn't do it, because what they've got, especially with the bloodline thing, they're not ready to take the Rock thing is an end game piece to me. That's where the thing really takes a turn. They're not ready to take any turn yet. They're too loaded. They're too good. So I'm kind of glad. And whenever The Rock is ready and wants to come back for. It'll never be a long-term thing, so I can't invest myself in it. It'll be fun to see it once, but it's not going to be anything more than a week or two. So why even bother or put any investment into it unless you have something completely concrete? So good, whatever. I'm still excited.
Can you please, serendipitous, please use that in a sentence?
It was very serendipitous that we were able to use Skype today instead of Microsoft Teams.
Country of origin? Doing like the scripts about spelling bee, like 2 o'clock in the morning on ESPN3.
Onomatopoeia.
Here's all you need to know. 2 nights, L.A., in the big Jan Briskin football stadium. 2 nights completely sold out. That's all you need to know. There's no need for any part-timers above and beyond what they have slated organically in the card. And I think anything else right now would take away from whatever moments they're planning. And so, yes, I hate to say it, but Rock, Stone Cold, Steve Austin, kindly stay away from this WrestleMania. And we'll see you maybe hopefully somewhere down the line. But right now, I agree with Andy. Pretty happy with the 2 nights. They're going to give us. So let's get Andrew and I's, what am I, Stallone? Hey, Andrew and me's
and
thoughts. Let's try to keep it somewhat on the brief side. That is tough for my friend Andrew Gruthius, but let's see what he thinks. Andrew, Elimination Chamber, real quick. Let's start off. I didn't even take major notes. So Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley wins by DQ. Tell me in a couple of sentences, what did you think?
Well, I hated the ending, obviously. It just seemed like a cop-out, which later we found out that it actually was. and we know why it ended that way. Do you know why? Did you read that?
Well, I don't. I didn't read anything specific. I could imagine. Here's my take on it: would be that perhaps the match, they wanted to, give Bobby the win to have him move on to Bray. So this is the best way to do it. So Brock's not losing face. The whole thing to me feels like quantity over quality. That you got 2 nights to fill, and so we're going to break up Brock and Bobby and let them go have their 2 individual matches. Both matches I'm not crazy about. If you're asking me specifically though about that match, that was probably unfortunately the weakest match of the night. The interaction between Brock and Bobby physically was not bad. It's kind of tough when you have 2 big, kind of muscular, hulky guys like that in the ring. It wasn't bad, and yes, like most people, I was kind of disappointed with the DQ finish.
Yeah.
I don't know. Am I missing something?
No. The only thing that I read that I didn't hear you discuss was that reportedly Brock Lesnar. It was supposed to be Brock Lesnar to win and face Bray Wyatt. Brock Lesnar nixed a match with Bray Wyatt. He didn't want to work with him. That's what I heard. What's that?
Probably like a selfish move for the fans, but for him, it's probably the right move.
Oh, I agree.
Because Andy, Bray Wyatt has not had a WrestleMania match. He's not had a WrestleMania match of real note. There have been actually a couple of downright stinkers. And the 1 or 2 matches that he had, probably the best one in which he should have won was Cena all those years back, where they gave Cena the big win. He's a very, very tough guy to book. He's not a great wrestler. He's a big lumbering guy, and I don't think right off the bat. I mean, no one's asking me, but I think the match against Bobby Lashley could really be, as I think Bruce Pritchard would like to say, the drizzling shits. Like I think that could be a real stinker, and Bray Wyatt does not need a stinker going into his big first year back with the WWE. And I think Brock Lesnar would have been better because I think Brock Lesnar could sell a little bit more and could bounce a little bit more. And I'm not sure that would have been even the better match for him. And I'm not sure where I would have went. I probably would a Bray Wyatt type would have went with a smaller wrestler that could sell and bounce all over the place and really kind of sell Bray Wyatt's physicality and invulnerability. The thing with Undertaker, who Bray gets kind of compared to all the time. The Undertaker could do it in the ring, though.
Yeah.
The Undertaker could do it in the ring against the big guys, and he could really do it like Shawn Michaels with the smaller guys.
Mm-hmm.
Bray Wyatt can't, and so they're in a tough spot here. And we all bash Vince, but Vince cut him, and I don't know. Maybe Vince saw something that maybe he's very, very beloved, Bray Wyatt, and this character is going nowhere fast, and that's for another time. But not crazy about the booking of that match.
Right. Well,
where these two guys are going.
Well, based on that, so they had to have Lashley win, and I would have liked to have seen him get a clean win after a really good match. I don't mind Brock losing when it's good, and then the two of them can shake hands, put the feud to bed, and both of them move on. I would have rather have seen that than the kind of finish that they did. So
I just and I think Brock Omos could be even worse. Those two matches, Groo, and we'll talk about the card from top bottom at a future podcast. But those two matches, I can't say I'm looking forward to a lot of anticipation.
Well,
because I think those two could be really bad stinkers, especially Bobby and Bray.
All right, finish.
It has fail with a capital F and a capital L all through it, to me as a fan.
What?
Scary.
Bobby and Bray?
Yeah.
Okay, but wait, but let me just ask you one question as far as matches go. Okay?
Go ahead.
Since basically Triple H has been clearly in charge, has there been a real stinker of a match like an absolute abolition? Like, I feel like he knows what he's doing as far as match quality. So I have to feel like they have something up their sleeve for this.
I just think those guys are a bad physical matchup, and I think in the promo, for example, Bobby is not a great guy to play off of Bray's mind games. I would have.
No, I don't mean that.
Lesnar
I'm talking about Brock
spot.
and Omos. That's the one I'm talking
Still,
about.
I mean, to me, you're never. Look, I've always said you never really can kill a guy, but you're talking about. Let's just call it how I'm going to see it. I'm seeing a Brock Lesnar victory. I'd be very, very shocked if Omos wins. I'm not going to give you. I'm not going to lock in my prediction, but let's just say I'm going with Brock. You're now going to have Omos lose to Bobby Lashley last year, Brock this year. Like Omos is supposed to be a 7-foot giant. He's going to fall into like Big Show territory or special event, and they're going to have to reboot him as a badass. 4 months of squashing job. Like I don't know. Those two matches scare me as a fan.
Well, you also have to
being very pissy, dramatic.
Well,
but,
all right, and we'll put this to bed just after one more thing. You also have to remember those matches are the first time we're seeing these, so you never know what could happen as far as the finish. So maybe they set up for trilogies or whatever. So like I said, like you said, I'm not going to make predictions here. But I could certainly see Brock losing the match and it making sense. You want to build up Omos? Let him beat Brock Lesnar, and let's see what we can do here. So maybe it'll be something.
Okay. All right, I appreciate Andy's optimism. All right, Groo, let's go to just real quick. Edge Beth versus Finn and Rhea, and Edge Beth took the win. What do you got there?
That was fun. I'm glad it was kind of quick from what I remember. But I mean, it was as expected. I think we were most, with the exception of Brock and Bobby, I think we were all on point with our predictions. That one pretty much went as expected. And it was good. A lot of talent in there, and they did a really good job.
The only thing I remember was Beth was off a little bit on her timing. She hasn't wrestled actively in quite a while. I remember, I feel like there was a couple of little mini botches with her and Rhea. But yeah, I think it's been a couple of weeks. Definitely enjoyed the match. Women's Chamber, Asuka walks out. She'll be facing Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. What'd you think of the Women's Chamber match, Group?
It was pretty good. I didn't love it. I liked it, but it was very predictable as we saw. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it was good. I remember the ending being very effective, but I remember not loving the match but liking it.
Yeah, I think Asuka was the right choice. As I said, I said Raquel Rodriguez next year, and Liv Morgan to me is. I see her as being the star out of that whole group.
Love her.
Listen, I'm a guy. She's beautiful to look at, but she really can wrestle.
I love Liv Morgan.
But I'm being serious. Like, she can lay it in, and she's got a good move set, and so she, beyond the beautifulness and let's say the quote unquote titillation of seeing a beautiful woman wrestler, she can deliver in the ring. The thing with Asuka is they did this character change, and she's changed the face paint. I want to see more of that ass kicking Asuka. She still falls into like the dancing Asuka, like what is this, like a WWE plushie toy, I don't know. I want the vicious, the strikes. That's the Asuka I want at WrestleMania. I don't want the dancing Asuka playing to the crowd for laughs. I want the vicious MMA that Asuka. Anyway, will we get it? I don't know.
Badass bitch.
Drew, Men's Chamber. Your winner was Austin Theory. We got a Logan Paul spot. Knocking out Seth Rollins from the mix. What did you think overall of the Men's Chamber?
This was one of those examples where it, like, literally beat for beat, we could predict exactly what was going to happen and what did, but it didn't matter because everybody did it so well, and the timing was on, and I thought this was, obviously the main event was the match of the night, but this was really exciting. I remember really marking out for this match, just like kept me on the edge of my seat, even though I knew exactly what was going to happen. Just showed me how good these guys really are. This was really good.
Yeah, that's the key to. We know they're going to get to point B, but how they get there is always the fun part. Yeah, Logan Paul hit that really. His timing on that spot with Rollins at the end was just near perfect. Obviously, they're going to move on to bigger things with Austin Theory at Mania.
Yep.
Yes, fun match to watch, and of course, for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship, Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn in his hometown of, was it Montreal, I believe? No, Montreal?
Quebec. Yeah,
Quebec.
Montreal.
Okay.
Montreal.
Okay. Roman Reigns walks out champ. We knew that was going to happen. Sick hometown pop for Sami Zayn. What'd you think, Groo?
Oh, it was fantastic. But it was exactly, no but. It was exactly what we knew, wanted, hoped for, and got. It was an amazing match with it was literally storytelling from A to B, and with the Owens thing at the end, we knew Reigns was going to retain because we knew what direction they were going in, and it's the right direction. So it is. It really is. There was no way that Sami Zayn could have or should have won that title that night. So everything that happened was perfect. The crowd was on fire. The whole night, the crowd was on fire. And I attribute that to Sami Zayn. And a lot of people are arguing that means that Sami Zayn should be the one to be, the next face of the company. And they are just incorrect. They're not seeing the way the things really are. Sami Zayn is doing exactly what he should be doing, and he is going to coast on this for a long time. So this was great stuff. They're just hitting grand slams every time they take a step forward with this. So yeah, it was great. Roman was great. Sami was great. It was great stuff.
Great stuff.
Great stuff.
Yes, it was. It was. It was so long ago.
I know. Yeah, I know.
I'm probably
like
drawing a blank.
We're like 4 big shows removed, like 2 SmackDowns and 2 Raws.
I'm probably drawing a blank because I probably drink way too much soda, Groo, and I want to tell you this. A study has revealed how drinking Coca-Cola and Pepsi can lead to larger testicles and higher testosterone levels.
Well, I can neither confirm or deny.
Okay, so
that.
the Northwest Minzu University in China. Oh God, medical study coming out of China.
Here we go.
Was attempting to determine the impact of carbonated beverages on fertility and sex organs in men. The study looked at 3 groups of men: one that only drank water, one that drank different levels of Coca-Cola, and another doing the same with Pepsi over 15 days. Tests on rodents include weighing their testicles and drawing blood. Call PETA immediately. They were tested on day 1 as well as on day 5, 7, 10, and 15. Groo was quickly discovered that mice drinking Coke and 100% Pepsi compared to a mixture of Pepsi and water had significant change. For instance, the mice that were given pure Coca-Cola had higher levels of the male hormone compared to the group that drank water. The study concluded drinking Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola could promote testes development, testes, and enhance testosterone secretion. Whoa, hey now. Oh, oh, all over you. Oh, yeah. Our findings provide the scientific... Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Harry Reams wants another case of Pepsi. Okay. Ron Jeremy from prison wants another case of Pepsi. Our findings provide...
Oh my God.
Well, listen, Groo, is this your hidden key to a long and healthy sex life?
Well,
oh!
I'll tell you what. If what you say is true, then I have the most expensive sperm in the world because I better get down to the bank right now. I'm in the wrong business. I should be.
Your ball, your nuts should be scraping on the cement right
man,
now.
I'm drinking a 12-pack a day, man. Let's go. Let's go.
Wow.
Well, God bless us, I guess.
God,
I don't know.
I think I'm drinking the wrong thing. I'm drinking just regular water right now. God.
Well,
no wonder I'm drawing blanks.
Well, then, like I said, I should be in pretty good shape.
Well, here, in the same vein, I got this
Vein.
last article. Well, 6 out of 10 young men are single. The disturbing reason why they're not getting jerked around by dating anymore.
They're really not getting jerked.
Yeah, I read this on the NewYorkPost.com. A new Pew. New Pew Research Center data found that nowadays, 63% of men under 30 are electively single. That's up from 51% in 2019. And experts blame, of course, what? Erotic alone time online is the major culprit. Young men are watching a lot of social media. They're watching a lot of porn. I think they're getting a lot of their needs met without having to go out. Psychologist Fred Rabinowitz told The Hill, a Jew. I think that's starting to be a habit. The new post-COVID numbers would surely back up previous research that the pandemic has made men prefer an evening alone instead of actually meeting a partner. Oh, of course. Just half of single men as a whole responded that they are, quote, looking for a committed relationship and or casual dates, a decrease compared to 61% 4 years ago. But these statistics tell a sadder truth about this generation of men. NYU psych professor Niobe Way told the outlet, quote, we're in a crisis of connection, disconnection from ourselves and disconnection from each other, and it's getting worse. Then they talk about women who pretty much say the same thing. Perhaps the larger issue now with young men, one highly impacted their social abilities, is that they are, as a whole, more lonely people than women. A recent study showed in early 1990s, 55% of men were reported to have 6 or more close friends. That percentage dwindled down to 27% in 2021, according to the American Perspective Survey. Well, I could certainly agree with that study. Now, 15% of men say they have no close personal friendships. Data compiled by the Survey Center of American Life. Groo, quickly, please delete my search history.
All right, no, this is all bullshit. All right, here's the thing.
You don't wait. You don't honestly, all joking aside, you don't think there's something to this article that guys are not going out because they could just, for lack of a better word, rub one out and be done with it?
They're not going to strip clubs because they could just stay home and rub one out. The reason that they're single is because, for the same reason I am, because we're scared shitless of women. All right? And we always have been. Now, you have to, look. The male...
Oh, God, I'm going to write my notes down. Groo scared. This is going to be our liner notes when we post. Groo scared of women.
but that's what it is. And why do people... Number one, everybody has fewer friends as they age when they reach a certain age. So, like...
Good point.
I would say from like the age 5 to 25, your friends kind of grow and then they kind of peak, and then you could count the real ones on one hand by the time you hit like 35, I would say. So that's a normal thing. But people are just scared now. It's not pornography. It's access to information, to all information, not just porn, everything. You can do and be everywhere and every place and at every time. You don't have to go out and do stuff anymore. You can watch a movie together in 2 different places. There are settings on these apps that allow you to do that. There are, they're just like, and people just don't like to put forth the effort anymore. Of course,
okay, but
they also
the article is also saying, and not just porn, but through social media, people's needs are being met. So even to your point,
well, that's kind of what I said.
But that's what I'm saying though. If I'm on Skype and I can watch a movie with a girl 200 miles away, it's still, I'm not going out. I'm not actively meeting people. I'm staying home. I think there is something to what this article is saying. Their needs are being met through other avenues. I don't have to go out. I could just hang with I can maybe never meet this girl.
Well, then it all depends on what they want. If they are waiting for the girl of their dreams to fall out of the sky, like I've been since I was 11, then that's what's going to be. It's never going to happen. They have to, if they want to hang out at home and do all that stuff and not go out and meet somebody, that's how it's going to end. So you have to get up and go. It depends what you're looking for. If you're just looking to get bust a nut, then yeah, you don't have to go out anymore. But if you're looking for more than that, then you're gonna have to do some searching. You're gonna have to put the work in, and I guess maybe more people are less willing to put the work in these days for a variety of reasons. Not just access to everything at home, but a variety of reasons, I'm sure.
Hold on, I'm putting in my search history. Amateur MILF.
Oh, believe me.
Hold on, amateur MILF, male, female. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Please delete that. All right. Well, hey, let's move on
to your favorite.
Manly stuff. Groo, today's Nothing Worthwhile podcast, season 1 of the Tulsa King. It's brought to you by New Life Center, making you fall, summer, spring fabulous, whether that's mobile IV services formulated to meet your needs, to make you feel better, faster, or saying goodbye to those pesky skin issues with the help of their state-of-the-art laser treatments. That's New Life Center. Check them out at www.newlifecenters.com or give them a call at, 602-274.
You keep forgetting the number.
0068. No, I didn't have it on this tab here. Life-changing solutions tailored to your goals. That's New Life Center. Groo, well, listen, let's start off with a question. When you heard Sylvester Stallone was making his first foray into television, the Tulsa King, what crossed your mind?
Well, first of all, I didn't know about it until I actually saw an advertisement for it, believe it or not.
Okay.
And my first thought was I wasn't really interested. It didn't, I didn't think it would work. I didn't think, Stallone has been,
You weren't interested at all?
I won't say I wasn't interested at all. I was just I wasn't excited. Like I should have been, meaning that I should always be. Maybe I was coming off like the sour taste from Samaritan, that because it really wasn't good, and it could have been, and it should have been, and it wasn't. And I just kind of lost a little faith, and it didn't. I don't know. It just didn't look like I wasn't planning on even watching it. So my thoughts were surprisingly, what's the word? Not skeptical, but indifferent, really.
Okay.
Surprisingly.
Indifference a good word. Tulsa King was first announced, in December of 2021 as Kansas City, a new Paramount Plus series created by Taylor Sheridan and show run by Terrence Winter. Sylvester Stallone was cast in the lead role where he made his scripted television debut. It was ordered to series by February 2022, and the title and concept were reworked to take place in Tulsa instead of Kansas City, Missouri. And they talk about a few people that were added to the cast. Taylor Sheridan created the series during the COVID-19 pandemic, taking a week to come up with the idea, writing the plot, and recruiting Stallone to the project. Some filming occurred in Tulsa in March 29, 2022 at the Tulsa International Airport. Most interior filming occurred in Oklahoma City, which also hosted the production offices for the entire first season. The good news is so here's a little bit post-season 1. Here's what I wrote. Good news is on November 30th, 2022, Paramount Plus renewed the series for a second season in February 2023. The bad news is Terrence Winter was announced to have stepped down as showrunner due to creative differences, with the search underway for a new showrunner. Perhaps worse news is that the second season is not filming in Oklahoma due to financial costs and complaints from the cast and crew who did not like the extreme Oklahoma temperature. I probably should have put this towards the back, but Groo, we'll talk about season 1, but looking forward to season 2. I'm not liking what I'm reading already about season 2. You feel my vibe on that?
I feel it 100%. It's like, well, it ain't broke, so let's fuck with it anyway. I guess they're having some people think that it's Stallone getting too involved as far as creative, because he is a very accomplished writer and an Oscar-winning writer and director. So it's very, when you got a guy, the series revolves around him as an actor, he's going to take a creative thing, and Terrence Winter is a very high-powered TV guy as well. He's behind The Sopranos, and you definitely felt his vibe throughout the first season. So, they're not off to a good. It was very exciting when they definitely announced it, but there I gave away something. But
no, they announced it, but even like you're not going to film in Oklahoma. I get maybe financial costs, but like complaints. Part of what makes television or movies great is when you get those exterior. You're really in the city that you're. I don't know. I find those little shortcuts to be maddening.
I will say this. I don't know how anybody else felt about. I don't know how you felt about it, but the location did not play a factor to me in how I viewed the series. So that part doesn't bother me. The Terrence Winter thing does. The creative difference thing, that bothers me. Wanting to film in a different location, the show, even though title aside, it should depend on where it is. It really doesn't. So that doesn't bother me.
So here, I'll just say this point because I want to save everything for final reviews. I don't really disagree with you. I still think it's a bad move because the show kind of positions the Dwight character as a fish out of water in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Well, they're not changing the location. They're changing the filming location. They're not changing where the show is going to take place.
I understand, but those kind of shortcuts, they mad. You're going to film Canada or something. I don't know.
You're right.
Well, then I'll save my thoughts about the Tulsa setting for later on.
You are right about that, though. Like you can usually tell when, actually, you can when something is standing in for New York. I can always tell. It's so easy to tell that this is not New York. So I'm with you on that.
Groo, the premise of the Tulsa King is Dwight, the General Manfredi, is a New York Mafia capo who has just finished serving a 25-year prison sentence. Upon his release, his boss sends him to Tulsa, Oklahoma to establish criminal operations there. Not knowing anyone in the area, the general seeks a new crew to help establish his empire. Groo, let's take a look at the very large cast for the Tulsa King. Sylvester Stallone as Dwight, the General Manfredi. Andrea Savage as Stacy Beal, the senior ATF agent and sometimes love interest for Dwight. Martin Starr as Lawrence Bodie Geigerman, a local weed dealer recruited by Manfredi. Jay Will as Tyson Mitchell, former taxi driver who becomes Dwight's driver. Max Casella as Armand Manny Truisi, a former Inverness soldier who's made a new life in Tulsa at the Fenario Horse Ranch and crosses paths with Dwight, and mirth and merriment break out. Dominic Lombardozzi as Don Charles Chicky Inverness, the underboss of the Inverness family. Vincent Piazza is Vincent Antonacci, Chicky's top capo. A.C. Peterson as Pete the Rock Invernizzi, the ailing boss of the family. Garrett Hedlund. I know Garrett Hedlund. I've seen him in a lot of stuff. Mitch Keller, ex-rodeo star who owns the local bar that Dwight frequents. Dana Delaney as Margaret Devereaux, the owner of the Fenario Horse Ranch. We have a couple of other people. Annabelle Cioria as Joanne Manfredi, Dwight's younger sister. Let's see, Richie Coster as Caroline Waltrip, the Irish leader of the Outlaw Biker Club, the Black McAdams, and I think the other person was Michael Beach. Very glad to see him as Mark Mitchell, Tyson's dad. I thought that was nice to see him.
Yeah.
I'll take a pause for a cause and a sippy of water. Groo, very expansive cast for the Tulsa King. A lot of familiar, not big names, but familiar names. What do you think of the cast of the Tulsa King?
Yeah, there's some really good character actors in there. I will to go the short route. I will say that there's one sort of lump of casting that I feel they did not do very well on. Okay,
well, go ahead.
Most of the casting is very well. I feel that Dwight's New York family is not well cast. I'm not buying. I'm not buying them as a mafia family. I think there's just something off about the chemistry between them and between like Chicky and Stallone. It just doesn't. There's something that doesn't ring true. Everybody else, his relationships with Tyson, with Stacy, with Bodie especially. I think Bodie's my favorite. Just their interplay is hilarious to me. Mitch is fantastic. Garrett Hedlund, I know him. Very good get for this show. And Dana Delaney's very good in her limited role. So, like I said, the casting is very good, except I really think for the Mafia guys. Except Armand is great. Max, but he's part of the Tulsa people. He's got a proven track record. He was on The Sopranos. He's been in these things before. The family back home is just not. They're not doing it for me.
I didn't see it that way. Now, I think they do a good job building tension. I'll get into sort of how they wrap it up. But I thought they did a good job, and I thought they did a good job early on of kind of Stallone gets out of prison and he goes into this meeting, and right off the bat, he's dealing with a generation of younger guys. And, my take on it was younger guys didn't have that same background of loyalty, didn't really see Dwight at the level that I guess he sees himself or is supposed to be seen, and obviously kind of disrespectful, and then of course, there's nothing left for him after 25 years and being in prison, so let's spit him out to Tulsa. How it wrapped it up, that storyline, I could talk about it now or I could get to it later, but I thought they did a pretty good job, and I thought they did a good job with Pete. Is it Pete? Pete's the father, right?
Yeah.
Pete's the father.
Yeah.
And Chicky, you could see that slow burn tension as the season progresses, because Pete is an old school guy. He's ultimately loyal to Dwight, even though he sees as a necessity that he's got to send Dwight out to Tulsa because he's really got nothing for him. But he has a lot of loyalty for those old school guys, whereas the young guy starts to really hate his father because his father doesn't really see him as the next guy in line, and his father respects old school guy like Dwight. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does. But that and story wise, I agree with you. That it's great. My problem is the casting of those guys. I'm not liking the chemistry between them.
Like Dominic Lombardozzi
Lombardozzi
plays. Yeah, Chicky. Yeah, he was in Ray Donovan, and I remember I thought he did a good job in Ray Donovan. So
he's good individually, but just for some reason they're just not meshing together, and I think that's kind of necessary to be somewhat menacing, and they're really not. You know, you want to be, you want them to be. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too rough on him because he is a douche, and you're supposed to think he's a fucking douche.
See, I thought originally you were talking about Stallone's family, the act.
No.
Daughter,
I meant the mob,
the
mob,
yeah.
the mob connection.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. There's just a lack of chemistry
I thought
there.
they did. I thought they did a good job. Giving that real delineation between like the old school guys and the new school guys, and obviously seeing that rift between Pete and his son, which obviously explodes, towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
And has, impact on the storyline.
It's a small gripe to me.
All right, well, let's see here. Tulsa King premiered November 13th, 2022 on Paramount Plus. Grew a drink of Coke. The first two episodes of Tulsa King
Way ahead of you.
The first two episodes of Tulsa King received special linear television airings on the Paramount Network on November 20th and 27th, serving as a lead out for the 5th season of Yellowstone. And then I wrote, "Who gives a shit? Who gives a fuck?" I don't know why I said that. So, all right, you want to you want me just real? How do you want to do it? You want me to just very quickly go through a couple of the plot points and the episodes, and you want to just get right to you tell me how you want to do this.
Well, let's talk about how we feel about the show. The people who are listening to this, we're not selling the show. They want to know what we think about it.
All right, so fine. Then let's get to it then. Let me go back. Let me go to my review notes. And here. Let me read you a couple of things then about Tulsa King, and then I'm going to ask Andrew his overall thoughts on the show. The review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes reported a 79% approval rating and an average rating of 6.6 out of 10 based on 47 critical reviews. The website's critics' consensus reads, Tulsa King's stale comedy sometimes feels like ordering spaghetti with marinara and instead getting egg noodles and ketchup, but Sylvester Stallone still commands the screen with his swaggering charm. Rotten Tomatoes audience score gave Tulsa King a whopping 91%. On Metacritic, it had a weighted average score of 65 out of 100 based on 28 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. James Delling-Pole, an English journalist, wrote in The Spectator, he wondered, quote, how morally warped does an audience have to be to root for a character whose primary goal is to transform somewhere relatively sweet and innocent yet into another cesspit, and wrote, quote, the worrying suspicion arises that our perceived nostalgia for Stallone is being asked to do all the heavy lifting here. He concluded that, quote, writers Taylor Sheridan and Terrence Winter could have exploited all this in a storyline that didn't leave such a nasty taste in their mouth. The premiere episode that aired on Paramount Network on November 20th, 2022, Groo had 3.7 million viewers, making it the best linear cable premiere of 2022, and that is no small feat. Andrew Gruthius, with minimal anticipation. Listen, Andy's a big Stallone guy. I think I could read this, but here, I'm going to give him the floor. On a scale of 0 to 4 nitrous tanks, how many nitrous tanks do you give season 1 of the Tulsa King? And give us some background and give us the whole spiel.
All right, so going into this, knowing the premise, interesting premise right out of the movie My Blue Heaven, which I think is a really funny movie. My skepticism, I wasn't excited, like I said before, because it seemed like Stallone just doing something to do something. It's almost like I don't know. It just wasn't screaming out to me. I read some very positive reactions to it, so I watched the first episode, and quite honestly, I was overjoyed that I got to see Sylvester Stallone eating up the screen for the first time in a long time, meaning that he was the movie star Sylvester Stallone that we haven't seen in my opinion, quite a while. Not that he hasn't been good; he's been great in things, but this was on the level of why we came to love this guy in the first place. Just he's Sylvester Stallone in this convoluted plot that is just an excuse to put this guy there, put an old pro there, and let him do what he does and do what he does best. And he eats this role up. He's obviously or it seems like he's having a great time. I read that he doesn't even want to come back to season 2 because it was tough work. But he looks like he's having a blast. His acting is fantastic. And look, it's completely contrived. Most of what happens is absolutely ridiculous, but you don't care because you're not there. This is not The Sopranos. This is The Sopranos as a crowd pleaser, meaning giving the audience exactly what it wants instead of what it needs. The Sopranos was like, no, this is where we're going to take you, and we're going to and you're going to follow, and you're going to either love it or hate it, whatever, as long as you're watching it. This is like, we're just going to give the crowd what they want. They're going to stand up, cheer, and beg for more. And that's why 3 episodes in, they announced season 2, because it was getting such a great response. People were watching. And I got to tell you, I bought into it hook, line, and sinker, knowing full well that this, I mean, even in the first episode, the first 5 minutes, when Dwight hits, what's the guy's name? Vince? Who's Chicky's number one guy? Is it Vince? Vince, is that his name? Do you remember?
Let me look it up. But yeah, I know
All right,
the scene.
Vince.
Yeah.
Well, that's a made guy. That's a made guy.
Yes, it's Vince. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a made guy, which means that Stallone would have been dead before Vince even hit the ground. I knew right away it was gonna stretch believability, but because Stallone, I think Stallone and the cast sell it. Especially, I love Richie Costa. We've seen him in something else. I think he was in. I think he was in the original Creed. But I actually worked with him on a movie years ago in like 2010 or 2011. Really nice guy, and puts on a hell of an accent right there. Yeah, it is Cheap Heat. But I think he's very menacing as Waltrip. I love Bodie, like I said. I love Mitch. I love his whole team. I love the music cues that they do. It's like a wrestling match, It's like the entrance theme. It just makes you feel like that. You feel what was the War? By Edwin Starr. Like they're playing that and they're going to fight. The bad guys. Like this is good versus evil, and it's just so much fun. So if you're asking me how many nitrous tanks I am giving season 1 of Tulsa King, I am going to give it 3.5 nitrous tanks. It entertained the fucking shit out of me, and the only reason I'm not giving it a full 4 is because they could have done a little bit better in a couple of little places, which is what I've talked about. But other than that, this is a terrific show. It really is, and I'm excited that Stallone is doing this kind of work at this point in his career. So 3.5. Tulsa King, season 1.
What a shock! Groo loved it.
Well, we don't. We generally don't do topics we don't love.
No, but you already went on our Facebook page and put a hand clap season 1.
When did I do that?
I don't know. He does it. He never asks me. It's nothing worthwhile. Moody and Groo, and he puts hand claps season 1. Tulsa King.
Well, all right.
I may not have subscribed to that hand clappiness, but all right. Listen, if you here, let me give you a emotionalist-free season 1 Tulsa King review.
All right, go for it.
I want to say this. I rewatched majority of the season 1 again.
Okay.
And I sat down quietly in front of the computer, and I put my good, my bad, and my review. So, and I do appreciate my colleagues' review because I think we'll hit upon many of the same things. The good, the role of Dwight itself leads to Sylvester Stallone's strengths as an actor. Italian American, that fits. Again, he's a tough guy with a heart of stone, so to speak. Bad guy with a heart of stone. That kind of, I think, fits into his wheelhouse. It's, again, that grunty, groany. He's whatever he is, 75, 76, but he still has a physical presence thanks to HGH and testosterone and everything else he's probably whipped on. So he's got the big belly. He's got the belly, though. It's funny. Got that Palumboism belly. But it's that grunty, groany stuff that I've always said fits Sly very well. Like a show that Andrew always references, Cobra Kai, the supporting cast ingrains itself right away. They are endearing. As Groo said, Bodie, Tyson's father. I love that character.
Yes.
I love you, son.
Great
You're
scenes.
doing some bad things, but I love you. Stacy, Manny, Mitch, and so on. You receive them through Stallone, but they are fairly well-developed characters in their own right. And in many ways, they're just as interesting.
Damn
Groo
right.
mentioned the city of Tulsa. The city of Tulsa as a backdrop is an interesting one as it lends itself to this fish out of water deal. But as the series progresses, which I didn't talk about earlier, you get the sense that Tulsa is like any other city. It's got its ups and downs. It's got good people and bad people. And really, that sort of fish out of water, Italian guy in the middle of Oklahoma, that stuff really, towards the end, they tone that stuff down, and really they focus on Dwight really just taking over another territory. Stallone's best pure acting performance since Creed, his opening scene at the pot dispensary, that's the best work he's done in quite a long time, where he just walks in and takes over this pot dispensary within 5 minutes. And his closing monologue at the bar before the big fight at the end of season episode 9, those were two real highlights for me in terms of Stallone pure acting as a viewer. The show does come close, as Groo mentioned, maybe not in the same vein, but it never falls into like that Cobra Kai soap opera level crap that I hate. So there, I think Tulsa King supersedes Cobra Kai. What I didn't like about it, I did feel as the season progressed, it did lose some momentum as the show progressed. That final episode, did not deliver as I felt. As Groo mentioned, the earlier gang fight in episode 4, I felt the emotional stakes on that fight. Like, you took our nitrous tanks, F you, we're going to go back and get our property. And they had the bats, and it was like guerrilla warfare. That last fight, I didn't feel, like I wanted to feel like the Sharks versus the Jets. And, yeah, I know they had the big standoff at the end with, I forget the guy who plays the leader, the Black McAdams and Stallone. But I felt like you could read that from a mile away.
That's Richie Costa. That's Walter.
And I did think you could read, the ending with Stallone getting arrested by Stacy. You knew something was going to go down with her. She's sort of a train wreck of a character and kind of blames him in a backwards way. So that, I thought, did very little to move me as a viewer. My final review, 9 episodes that held my interest. And more importantly, my fiance Marie, who's not a pure Stallone fan, she was right there with me watching the entire season. It's an intriguing vehicle for an actor like Sly to extend his career. For this 50-year-old plus reviewer, season 1 of the Tulsa King was just as good to me as season 1, let's say, of Cobra Kai, without falling into soap opera territory. Engaging characters with a near-perfect season, minus a little bit of a bailout ending, which just left me feeling just a bit dissatisfied. 3.75 nitrous tanks, and they better deliver for season 2. And no, I haven't liked what I read about season 2, so I am nervous. But season 1 as a whole, I can't disagree with Andrew. Very, very engaging. And just on its own, you don't have to be a Stallone fan to just really, really love Tulsa King. I've recommended it, and it's a darn good show. I have to admit, it's a darn good show.
Well, yeah, we agree on that.
Come on, don't give me the Fred Norris sound.
What do you mean? Don't give me.
I did feel though that like that last episode, that last fight. I didn't feel it like I felt that like episode 4.
Well, maybe.
You had like Tyson's dad, and like they went into the rival gang.
They might have blew they might have blew their wad a little bit in the middle.
I don't know. I'm just asking if you see.
That's why I mentioned it. I mentioned that moment. I didn't mention the end. I mentioned that moment as one of the moments that I remember most fondly. And maybe they should have saved something like that for the end, but whatever. It still worked. But yes, you're absolutely right. I honestly, I
thought the arrest was so silly.
Am I stupid for not seeing that coming? Like I'm not ashamed to admit that I didn't see it coming.
They had to do something to tease season 2. Why, I don't know why these shows feel it's very like a tropey thing to do now, where it's like something bad has to happen to somebody or something.
I was expecting him to get shot or something. I was expecting him to for his life to hang in the balance or something. That's what I was expecting.
I just felt something was going to happen with the Stacy character. She just was too much of a live wire and too inconsistent. And the show, if you're looking at the character Stacy, does a good job of sort of getting a little bit more in depth with her, and she's got some real trauma in her
She
life
does a good
that,
job. The actress does a good job.
Yeah. But she's an alcoholic, basically a functioning alcoholic, and that once they spin on her, and it's really her career or Dwight, I could read which way she was going to go with it. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, and you know what? And it was a bummer too, because she's just like we like them. A little older, a little damaged. Our perfect type. To see that she would. He treated her so well. Really respectful. The way that you and I would treat a woman like that. That nobody, today's generation just I wish I had a violin sound effect or something right now.
If I had the pen, I would have. If you wanted to do anything, I would have maybe had them finish up happy in the bar. Things are looking up, and then you almost do like a post-credit scene where maybe Stacy signs an arrest warrant or something like that. Just leave it at that. You know what I mean? Like the whole arresting thing. It just. I don't know. It just
or maybe Chicky's new henchman, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, shows up in Tulsa, and then
and I don't joke
black.
like that, because I want to take this seriously.
Me too.
Now, what I did think about the mob deal was it just wrapped up very cleanly. Like, let's meet at the pool. Dwight's got his guys. Chicky's got his guys, and it's like. We agree to disagree. You stay out of my fucking territory, and I agree. I don't think the New York mob is just going to go away quietly like that. And again, it could be a storyline point that they bring back in season 2,
which they will. They have to.
Understood, but it was like, hey, let's just meet at the pool. We're going to do like a Mexican standoff with our 2 lines of people, and nobody's going to flinch, and we're going to agree to disagree and walk away and leave each other alone. That's kind of It just wrapped up kind of very.
Here's an opportunity. They can, because obviously mafia families are not that small. So I expect these guys to come back with more people. And here's where you now have a popular show with an audience that is coming back. Get a high profile. Actor to play a rival, to play like like an old school mob boss who we can go toe to toe with. Really, don't break the bank, but spend a little money to get a familiar face, someone you'd like to see, who can have some good chemistry with Stallone for something like that. So, But yeah, the show is an incredibly pleasant surprise, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I was not expecting to like it as much as I did.
I just, boy, reading that stuff about season 2 though, Groo. I'm not going to not to end on a downer. I'm just like, a little bit.
Well, hey, we'll see what happens. Look, we already we got 9 episodes of 3.5, 3.75 entertainment, and if we get another season, fantastic. If we don't, we got a great season of television.
This is true. Season 1 of the Tulsa King, good stuff. Groo, give me one thing you're watching this week.
All right. Well, here's the thing. So there is one thing that I watched, but it kind of comes with 2 other things. So here it is. All right. Layers. I watched the layers exactly. So I watched, and I'm hoping you did too. I watched the Chris Rock stand-up special on Netflix.
Read about it, didn't see it yet.
Okay, I watched it. I thought it was excellent. Not his best work ever, but he's got a little he's a little rusty as far as timing goes. But I laughed out loud many times. His stuff about Will Smith is absolutely on the mark. The spins that he puts on just about everything, from wokeness to abortion to he puts the Chris Rock spin on it. And the funny thing about Chris Rock is that no matter how old he gets, he'll always remind me of a young Eddie Murphy or Richard Pryor, no matter how old he gets. Just his demeanor and the way he spins yarns. So it's a terrific special. Now, the reason I say 2 other things is because I watched 2 other specials that kind of touch on the same topics. One was the Roseanne Barr special on Fox Nation, and the other was a Jim Breuer special. Now, all 3 of these specials had a lot of political undertones. And I'm looking at the difference between the 3 of them.
Oh, boy.
And because I love Roseanne. I will always say Roseanne is one of the pioneers of the kind of comedy that exists today, especially for females. And I think what happened to her was absolute bullshit. That's what I think. But that's a whole other thing. Her stand-up special was atrocious because really all it was just her bitching about things and getting, cheers from the audience, saying, it was basically just like a cheap pop session for 60 minutes. There were a couple jokes in there, but it was mostly just saying this sucks, that sucked, they suck, you suck, and, everybody in the audience cheering. Then I go to the Jim Breuer thing. And Jim Breuer, while naturally funny in some ways, all he does with the political stuff is just make it a physical thing and doesn't really go beyond that. Just counts on his natural goat boy type mannerisms to get laughs, and they don't really. They just get the same kind of reaction that Roseanne got. It just seems like an audience thing. Then I watch Chris Rock, and the way he takes these things and spins them into comedy. That's why Chris Rock is the stand-up that he has become. He has a way of taking any issue and make you think he's going one way with it and then go in a complete other direction, turning it into comedy. It's what Roseanne used to do. And I feel like she's lost that ability to take absurdities and instead of just bitching about them, turn that bitching into comedy. That's what Chris Rock did in this special and many of his others. So that's 1.2 things that I'm watching this week. Well,
1.2.
Well,
it's 3.
Do you
want to layer any other comedy specials? What about you want to talk about Rapid Rodney and George Carlin? And
the focus was on Chris Rock, and I watched the other 2
Give
because
me 3 things you're watching this week.
Well, no. The reason I said it is because I watched the other 2 things because of the Chris Rock special. I was curious. So, anyway, that's I want you to see the Chris Rock thing. I think you'll like it.
I will see the Chris Rock thing. It got the things that I read about it on the internet were very, very positive.
But what are you watching this week?
Wow, I'm going to be.
What 9 shows are you watching this week?
I actually this is like a last weekend. I had some free time. I wrote what did I watch this week. It's called Sex Before the Internet. Vice TV's look at the world of sex and pornography before the Internet. And like in a weird way, Groo, it's like a woebegone age of innocent starlets making their way out to California for the Internet and video, and it's like a 9-part series, and it just talks about. It's kind of like what was that movie with Mark Wahlberg?
Boogie Nights.
Yeah, it's sort of like that kind of thing, and they have different episodes, and they talk like one was like the starlets of their time, like Tracy Lords and Ginger Lynn, and like their rivalry, and another one was like the AIDS crisis, and the AVN Awards, and just different things like that. And I love Vice TV. I love how they do like those documentaries. Like I don't know, they seem to do that really, really well.
Why didn't they interview me for that?
I don't know. It's called The Sex Before the Internet, and I will like to say, although I guess I'll be layered. I didn't want to do this as my one thing I'm watching this week, but I have to say, the Jake the Snake Roberts WWE Legends was just stunning.
Yes,
it's. I actually wrote in my notes, absolutely stupendous. Must see viewing for really anyone who's overcome. I mean, the level of. And again, it's everything's alleged, but the level of abuse, mental, physical, sexual, that this guy and really his family members were dealt, and how this guy is standing on 2 feet, coming out of it, years of addiction. And I watched the resurrection of Jake the Snake on I don't know, whatever streaming service and DDP, and God bless that dude. And again, I won't go into a full review, but that Jake the Snake Roberts on WWE Legends, I mean, I was kind of teared up at the end, really. And it doesn't have that happy ending, really, because if Jake the Snake is on the straight and narrow, but not all of his family came on board with him.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sex Before the Internet, Vice TV, but also as a wrestling fan, that Jake the Snake Roberts WWE Legends was stupendous.
Yeah, well, I saw that, and I couldn't agree more with you. That was incredible. But I did not see Sex Before the Internet. I have a lot of experience with Sex Before the Internet, but I will be very interested in checking that out based on your recommendation.
Yeah, it was good seeing.
It
was good seeing Ginger Lynn again. God,
yeah,
I
miss. We go back.
Yeah,
so
she was in that Metallica, the Seeger cover. Turn the Page.
Turn the Page. Yes. Ooh, good call.
She was in that music video.
I forgot about that.
By the way,
good call.
Next weekend, I'm going with Brian Swain. We're going to a Bob Seger tribute band.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
I'm going to see the Lords of 52nd Street on Saturday night.
Oh, I'd like to, please, on our next podcast, I want a review. Speaking of which, Andrew,
good segue.
For our next podcast, it's going to be our next episode of Van Dammit. It's 1991. It's Steven Seagal. It's Out for Justice, and Andrew Gruthius' request. I am doing this against my quote-unquote better judgment. But unlike Andrew, I will review with an open mind. Speaking of Billy Joel, Gino and Richie, and sounds like a gay scenes from an Italian restaurant. Groo, Out for Justice.
Yeah, this is a request of mine. It's let
me talk to you.
I'm looking forward to this. Well, I look forward to every one of these, but this is a request of mine. This is a movie that it's no secret that I love it. But the interest is, why would we be doing it otherwise?
I guess what's
the important thing is the important.
What would be the really? What is the purpose though? If we're going to talk about it, and you're just going to go 4 stars. Seagal is a Shakespearean.
No, because here's I'm going to tell you.
You want to just argue with me if I don't like the movie?
No, it's the same thing as Over the Top. I want to see what you think because I value what you think about these things because nobody seems to like this movie but me.
Well, I'll tell you what. I already watched the trailer.
Yeah.
I was I think you have it on Vudu, right?
Yeah. It's one of my favorites.
Okay, so I'll watch it, but I was on my TV and I'm like, maybe I can get it somewhere for free. So I put in Out for Justice and it's let's say a pay thing, but it says here, click here and watch the trailer and I get the Seagal I'm just getting ready the bad New York accent Richie and then he's wearing I think what does he think he's a what is that Guardian what was the Guardian Angels what was the thing that group that
Curtis Sliwa the
Guardian
beret.
Angels
yeah
he's got the beret with the sleeveless shirt there's not one muscle in his arm and the ponytail, and I'm like, oh boy! But
yeah, I want you to see it.
I'm going to watch it. Give you straight down the line.
That's if I didn't want the truth, I wouldn't come here. So that's why I'm here. So I want that's why I like doing them. And plus, I enjoy talking about my favorite movies and trying to make a case. For if I do think it's criminally underrated in many ways.
Well, I mean, you do have Jerry Orbach from what is he Law and Order? So
you got Jerry Orbach, you got William Forsythe.
I guess you could make your case Law and Order.
Well, I'm looking forward. Gina Gershon is in it. Dominic Chianese from The Sopranos and.
I'm sorry, that was what I was thinking of.
And The Godfather.
Gina Gershon.
So,
Gina Gershon.
Yeah, Gina Gershon. So so I'm definitely looking forward to talking about that with you.
Oh, Ginger Lynn, let me just drink a Coke.
Here we go.
Sorry. And then finally, Groo, for our next Nothing Worthwhile podcast, Andrew Gruthius will be here with me live in Phoenix, Arizona, as we begin our annual jaunt to the show of shows. Nothing Worthwhile will be broadcasting live out of New Life Center. Who knows? Andrew may get that well-deserved makeover, and after all of the mirth and merriment, Andrew and I will get to do one of our favorite shows of the year. It's our WrestleMania preview show. We got 2 nights in LA to cover. Who does Andrew like? And, of course, who does your podcasting god like? Who will be walking out of WrestleMania with will we be walking out of WrestleMania with the new undisputed Universal Heavyweight Champion? All that more. Groo face-to-face in Phoenix. It's our world-famous WrestleMania preview show.
Can't wait. We're ready. I'll be headed out there in a few weeks via Italy. I'll be stopping in Italy for about 10 days beforehand. But then I am headed your way.
Let me tell you something. You better be on a strict vitamin regimen. Get your sleep because
I know. Lord. Believe me. Can't wait to get out there. Can't wait to do what we do best. And that is very, very childish things.
Exactly. I was I'm kind of ashamed. But,
well, it is what it is. We are who we are, and definitely very excited.
Hey, WrestleMania preview show. It's always a highlight. All right, that's it for season 1 of the Tulsa King. Andrew, let's wrap it up and take us out of here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this special Sunday night edition of Nothing Worthwhile with Moody and Groo.
Sunday Night Heat.
Sunday Night Heat. Rest in peace. As my esteemed colleague told you, next week we'll be going into back in the Van Dammit universe, and which is almost sacrilegious, doing one on Steven Seagal. I know one person who's not going to like this very much. And then following that, we are back to the mothership.
Wait.
What?
Who is that?
Oh, Seiko hates Seagal.
Seagal hates everything.
That's true.
Him and I, we're
Good-
rapping
good
and we're rapping.
point.
First of
Yeah.
all, let me say this: if he listens, I love that dude. I respect his. I respect his takes on it. Doesn't mean I always agree with them, but that dude he puts it right out there. So I do appreciate it.
Yep,
Hey,
good point.
Seagal, it was an Andrew Gruthius request. Okay.
That's right.
Doing
Hey,
this,
I am not shy about it. But and the week after that, we will be going back to Nothing Worthwhile. What did we say we were doing?
WrestleMania Oh my God.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting how close. No, I feel like there's more time, and there's not.
You need to drink more Coke and Pepsi.
Hey, it's late. It was a long weekend.
And Ginkoba Biloba, and take more Ginkoba Biloba.
All right, very good, Robin. All right, well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next time. And until then, 1, 2, 3, rip 'em.
Bomb.
Quack quack.
Quack, quack.